Well, what have you got? What
Okay.
have you got?
Well, since you asked about Bigfoot, I'll give you that one first.
Okay, I love a Bigfoot story.
Okay, so this comes to you courtesy of my longtime ex. He lived in a part of Jefferson County, Alabama that is, very wooded and mountainous because, Birmingham in general is at the end of the Appalachian Mountains. So lots of, cliffs and so forth. And you go very quickly from big city, well, big for Alabama, to very, very rural very quickly. And when you're driving around in the country late at night, it can be fairly scary if you're not prepared for that sort of thing. It's also very quiet and peaceful. So I rather enjoyed the quiet, but it was not a happy experience for me when the Blair Witch Project came out because I lived in the woods. So yeah, it was me boarding up all the doors and putting, locks on the windows. So this particular incident happened late at night. His cousin and her boyfriend were on the way back from, I think, a late movie. And they were in high school, so it's not like they were legally drinking or anything. But I'm not going to say they weren't, but they weren't doing it legally if they were. And that would have not been very safe. Anyway, they were coming around a kind of corner and they saw a very large creature, I think, in the road. It was about 7 or 8 feet tall. It kind of stopped and looked at them and went on its way, and they were absolutely terrified. They were so scared that they actually called the local sheriff to report it. And the sheriff recorded their story and said that they weren't the first person to see something like that in the area and that they've gotten reports like that before. So they were obviously very shaken by this. You're not expecting to just turn a corner and there's a Bigfoot or something similar to it. So they did a little digging, and it turns out that there is a Gulf Coast Bigfoot research organization that looks specifically into sightings of this nature in the Gulf states like Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, and so forth. And it's not as uncommon as you might think. So the Pacific Northwest definitely does not have a monopoly on seeing things that people might call Bigfoot. It happens apparently in Alabama. My stepdad said that he has heard, I guess, unnatural cries from animals that he doesn't recognize. So I personally have not seen one, though I would be very excited to. But yeah, that story was very interesting to me because I normally am quite skeptical of things like this. I'm not going to say that Bigfoot exists. I'm not going to say that Bigfoot doesn't exist. But I will say that whatever they came across in the road that night absolutely terrified them. And, teenagers generally aren't going to just drop everything and call the cops for just random reasons. So I have to believe that whatever it was they saw was scary to them. I don't precisely know what it was. I'm not sure if they would make those records available for a report, but there is a actual Bigfoot, research, quote unquote research group that focuses specifically on deep south sightings.
So how many were in the car?
Just the two of them.
Just two, but both of them saw the same thing.
Yeah.
Awesome. And so, but the fact that the local sheriff wasn't thrown by that either. He didn't just.
Yeah, that was the part that got me as well. I thought, yeah, the sheriff is probably going to be some, down home good old boy. But no, he took the report and did not seem bothered and said that they weren't the first. And there had apparently been a spike in reports lately in that area. So
that's incredible. That is incredible. So you said you'd be surprised if you saw Bigfoot, and so I think you said excited actually. So
yeah.
To you, what would Bigfoot be? Are you old school Bigfoot in it's a giant ape, the missing link type thing, or are you more on the more modern twist, which is transdimensional adaptive technology?
I'm absolutely not into the idea that it's a transdimensional UFO alien experiment gateway portal to ascension in higher consciousness.
So more of the
I absolutely think that if it's any kind of biological entity, that it would have to be something terrestrial and naturally developed, not put here by aliens or whatnot. I'm not for sure that it would be a missing link. If it, and this is just me speculating, if it did turn out to be some sort of a primate, it may just be a divergent branch that was, isolated from a larger population and just kind of adapted to its environment over time. That's the best guess that I have. Because we know there's primates in South America and there's primates in Mesoamerica, so why couldn't there be primates in North America?
I think that's where I am with the whole bit. I every time I go out into the mountains, I'm all for looking for Bigfoot. It's great, and I've even talked the teens in the family to help me and stuff like that. And it's, it's good fun. But yeah, the whole adaptive. The reason why you can't see it is it's got adaptive transdimensional cloaking technology that prevents you from focusing a camera. Is like
okay.
That's just a bit too far.
I mean, I think the obvious explanation here is that it's got cloaking technology like the Predator. There will be a big documentary in your past, in my future. That there's a photography expert who does claim that it's the reason why you can't take the picture is it's adaptive technology, and it actually stops the autofocus on the camera from working. Okay. I'm sure that worked in the 70s before autofocus was a thing. So yeah, that's a secondhand story. So, obviously take that with a very large cup of salt. But I do have a personal, unusual incident. It doesn't have anything to do with a cryptid, unfortunately, which is disappointing because I would very much like to see a cryptid. This one is something I don't put a lot of stock in the supernatural or the esoteric necessarily, but this is a little unusual. So I was house sitting for some family that had gone out of town, and while I was there, they said, you have free run of the kitchen, eat the snacks, do whatever, you can watch TV. But they had put parental locks on the TV so that their, at the time, young child couldn't watch things meant for grown-ups. And they didn't give me the access code to the cable, so I was stuck watching very boring programming. It was basically the news and, Nickelodeon. It wasn't very thrilling, and I was going to go out of my mind from boredom if I had to endure that for 3 or 4 days. And I was just sitting there one evening, and this is very bizarre. I was thinking, man, I could sit here and just punch in random numbers until I got it right, but it might lock me out. And then they'd be like, why were you trying to hack our TV? And out of nowhere, 4 numbers came into my mind, and I punched them in, and those were the exact 4 digits that unlocked the television.
No way.
I swear on my life. I literally cannot explain to you where that information came from. It wasn't a birthday. It wasn't their address or their phone number. It was 4 disparate digits, and boom, there they were, and boom, they worked. So to this day, I'm still like, what?
So you that was your first attempt, and it was correct. Is that what you said?
Yep.
How?
I don't know.
How?
Maybe I'm psychic.
Can you tell me what the numbers were?
God, this has been like 15 years ago. 0, and then there was like maybe a 6 and a 4 in there. I could just be making that up. Like I said, it's been a very long time. So I didn't have any kind of parental control access on my own, like cable TV at my house. So it's not like it was a universal, access code or anything. I know that if I were to tell some of the people that I knew at the time, they'd be like, oh, well, you got a word of knowledge from an evil spirit because, they wanted you to unlock the adult channels. Like, well, yeah. Certainly succeeded.
The spirits wanted you to watch adult content.
They wanted me to watch adult programming.
That's really weird.
Yeah.
I mean, if you, I've got a pen here. If you can think of tonight's lottery numbers.
If I knew the lottery numbers, I would not be calling into a YouTube show.
That's an excellent point.
The best, rational explanation that I have is that maybe I saw or overheard that information and just consciously didn't recall it. That's the most, not weird explanation that I can think of. I definitely don't believe I'm psychic.
So in that vein, then, is it possible that just as they were leaving, they said the code for the TV is 06, and you just don't remember it? Or?
I mean, it would have been interesting if they had done that, since they left with their daughter, literally side by side, so she would have heard it too.
She would have heard it. Ah,
yeah. I have to think that would have, defeated the point.
Oh man. Yeah,
it's very unusual.
That is kind of unusual. That's nothing like that's happened to me before. I don't think so. Anyway, don't think it's happened to me. But yeah, that to pull, that's like Darren Brown stuff, pulling numbers out of thin air.
Yeah, it's definitely something. Maybe I did hear a spirit, the spirit of, hey, watch, God, what was popular then? I guess, Playboy Channel or something? Yeah. Watch this. It's that spirit. Maybe.
Trying to corrupt you with the Playboy Channel.
At someone else's house when I'm house sitting, because that's definitely when you want to do that.
It's how a lot of horror stories start, isn't it? Somebody house sitting, and there's something spooky happens.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one that sticks out in my mind the most. I've had a lot of unusual things happen to me over the course of my life, but I absolutely don't credit any of them to aliens or spaceships or interdimensional predator Bigfoots.
Adaptive cloaking transdimensional technology. Fun.
Yeah. Certainly not.
So where do you stand on things like alien abduction then? Because
I think it's a load of horse shit.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think it's a complete load of horse shit. I don't know what people think that they're experiencing, but to me, it sounds way too much like night terrors and sleep paralysis. Because, there's art from several, centuries of people having something sitting on their chest, and that's a very universal experience. People would see demons or have any kind of those experiences, and now it's apparently aliens because that's what's popular in our culture. So I absolutely not for 1 second think that aliens are abducting people and giving them anal probes or doing whatever the heck else aliens do.
So it's just people imagining it then. It's not
I don't feel like they're imagining it in the sense that they're like concocting it intentionally, but it's just way too close to sleep paralysis for it to be anything that's just something that like, oh, I watched a movie before I went to bed and then I had this dream that I was abducted. Now, it doesn't mean I won't watch the hell out of some really just terrible quality found footage alien abduction movies, because I will. I will watch them all. But they're fiction.
Whenever those stories happen, it's never like a rocket scientist or a
exactly.
So and I was taken aboard the mothership, and we had a really enlightening conversation about rocket propulsion technology.
They gave me the secret to, reconcile quantum physics with Einstein's field equations and stuff on a large scale. That never happens.
And yeah, and they're not coming back with a little post-it note with the answer to life, the universe, and everything on it.
Well, 42, obviously.
Well, obviously, but
obviously. No, but the people you'll find that believe in this sort of thing, they tend to be into the new age just in general, and it's interesting to me that they pretty unanimously agree that like, oh, they're meant to take us to a higher plane of existence, they're trying to raise our consciousness. Then why aren't they fixing the problems that we have? Why aren't they giving us the answer to our physics equations? Why aren't they helping us generate unlimited food? Why aren't they helping us lower the temperature of the freaking planet? If they're just going to moralize about it, then they're effectively useless. So thanks, judgmental aliens. Isn't that what they say? Oh, you humans are destroying your planet and you're so unevolved. Like, well, maybe give us a hand.
Like an intergalactic A-team just turning up just to help us.
Yeah. Instead of showing up and saying, you guys really suck, you need to get it together, and then just disappearing.
They're really the stories that you hear. Ooh, Tusk is just calling in.
Nice.
They're really stories that it's really productive. When they do come, they always want to shove something up your bum or turn your cattle inside out or odd things like that.
Yeah.
They never come and decorate your house or fix your car.
Yeah, they're definitely not solving world hunger, especially if they're mutilating cows, which is very rude. So they're pretty much useless. They're wasting everyone's time.
So I think I'm with you. I think I'm with you on that one. The aliens, if they are coming, then they're kind of prankster aliens.
It's like that episode of Futurama that's spoofing the Star Trek episode. Where it's like, oh, I'm a god, and it turns out it's basically the interdimensional equivalent of a kid playing in his mom's basement. She calls him away to dinner. So it reminds me of a Far Side cartoon that I saw where these two aliens are zooming through a populated city in their spaceship, and people are screaming, and the caption is one alien speaking to another saying, "Check this out. Woo!"
Oh my goodness.
Maybe they are trolls.
Intergalactic, just like spring break aliens coming to just get drunk and cause mayhem.
Why not? We do the same thing to our Sims.
Let's go play with the humans.
Yeah, let's go play with the humans. Haha, watch me put something up its butt.
Yeah.
Or it's like South Park where the aliens, show up and they're talking to the cows. And it's like, why are you turning us inside out? And they're like, that's Brian's fault. And he's like, sorry, my bad.
Oh my goodness.
So if that's you, aliens, all I have to say is moo. Moo, 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 moo.
Oh, dear me. Well,
anyway, if you want to go ahead, I'll let you go, but thank you for letting me share these very unusual stories while I wake up and have my bagel and coffee.
I'm always happy to take a Bigfoot phone call. Always.
I'll look for more stories then.
Superb. Thanks, Vishanti.
All right.
Speak to you soon.
All right.
Goodbye.